You may have heard it takes a village to raise a child, but what if you don't have a village? How do you build that reliable support system? Our next guest is a child care expert, often known by her brand, the Windy City Nanny. She's built her career around providing practical advice for families. She's got a new book out called Build Your Village, a guide to finding joy and community in every stage of life. And she's joining us via Zoom right now, author Florence and Romano. Good morning.
Good morning. So happy to be here.
I am too. This is important because I think especially when folks get older, it's hard to start building a village. How do you find and connect with, I'm going to call them village people?
It gets harder as you get older, truthfully, because we're not in situations that you feel are conducive to socializing the way that you used to. If you were in school or at work, where do you meet these people? And during COVID, every time I heard someone talk about their support systems, they would say, well, I have no support system now. They've been taken away from me. And they said, where is this village? Is there a phone number to call? Is there a roadmap? Just tell me what to do. They show up at your front door with a casserole. I don't know. I don't know how to find these people. And so I thought, it's time we actually did make a roadmap to this, especially if you're 18 or 80. This is evergreen in nature. You're always going to find connection, need connection. And it's honestly what's important for our mental, our physical health. And so I always talk about philanthropy being a great way to start that momentum for you. If you don't know where to start in terms of connecting, finding your people, think about what makes your heart flutter. Think about how you want to serve, where you want to serve, because you're going to be in an environment then with people that are like-minded, have similar hearts to you. And all of a sudden you're going to be connecting with people. And it's not going to feel like you're tapping someone on the shoulder, hey, you want to be my friend? It's more so we're going to have something in common. So philanthropy is a great step if you feel very isolated right now.
Florence, I absolutely love that. I've heard that advice before about finding a common interest to find others. But I've never heard anyone say lead with philanthropy. What a phenomenal idea, because obviously that is something that's going to make your heart happy too. Now, when it comes to, let's say you're in a group, but maybe you want to get new village people. How do you walk away from, let's say, toxicity or other types of things, with grace to find your new village people?
Can I tell you, this is one of the most popular topics right now people have is how do you end a friendship? And I always say you can say what you mean without saying it mean. You can have conviction behind your words without really burning down the relationship or burning that bridge completely. But sometimes things do burn down. You burn the village down on purpose, or sometimes it happens out of your control. It's a divorce. It's the end of a relationship. It's a death. These things end relationships in your life. And then there's the rebuilding. But if you're in a relationship or a friendship right now where, you look at your phone and that phone number comes up, or it's a text message and you're like, oh, you roll your eyes, probably not a great, barometer of the relationship at that moment. And so clarity and communicating how you're really feeling is important, but also think about the dynamic of the friendship. Are you the one that's always reaching out? Are you the one that's always putting in the effort? If you are, then why don't you take a step back? Don't make the phone call. Don't reach out to make plans. And that relationship may just naturally dissipate. There's a lot of dynamics related to why relationships end or change, but it doesn't mean that you devalue it. It doesn't mean that the relationship didn't serve a purpose for a season of your life. And just because it's not a forever relationship doesn't mean that you don't honor it. So if it is time to move on from a friendship or move on from a relationship, do it in a way where you can do it with dignity and be respectful. And like you say, do it with grace. But think about the end goal. If you can back into it that way, you're going to have a better chance of success.
I'm absolutely loving everything you're saying. I want to get this book immediately. One more. I'm going to do a personal one. How's that?
Please.
All right. Lately, the past year, I've had a hard time asking for help without feeling guilty. Like receiving assistance from others is hard for some.
And I'll tell you why. Because people are worried to ask because A, they feel like if I don't do it myself, then I look weak. Then everyone else on social media that looks like they have these perfect lives and are doing everything without failing, that I'm not going to be able to compare to them. And then number two, and probably most importantly, People are worried that there's an outstanding debt. If I ask you for help, then I'm worried about the tit for tat. When am I going to be able to repay that? So that's what really impedes on that asking for help, because you're worried about the other side of it, and you're worried about the other person's perception. We're all people pleasers on a certain level. And I understand why we do that. We want to be polite, we want people to like us. But then we end up depleted, we end up isolated, we end up drowning in our own survival because we're not willing to ask for that support. If you're in relationships where you feel it is tit for tat, then that's probably not a healthy relationship for you. Most of the time, you're not going to find that your friend is going to be like, well, I picked up your kids from carpool and you haven't done that for me yet in the last few weeks, and so I don't know what type of friendship this is, but this is not what I signed up for. People aren't thinking that way, but we tend to place ourselves into a box, and our perspective is what's usually skewed in that way. So asking for help can be very debilitating because of what we make up in our head is going to be happening on the other side of that relationship or the other side of that help.
Oh my goodness, there is so much to dive into here. Where can we get this book?
You can go to florenceann.com, my website, find me on social media, Florence Ann Romano. I answer every DM. You can think of me as your virtual village, and I hope you do reach out because I am here for you.
I am definitely going to do that. You can learn more as well, florenceann.com for more. Thank you so much for the time.